mysterious things happen all around us. Some are harmless, others are far more unsettling. When science falls short of explaining them, we call them paranormal phenomena. Ghosts, spirits, or something else entirely. No matter what you believe, today's video features 10 bone-chilling true horror stories that will leave you questioning what's real. And make sure you stick around till the end. I'll share 3 terrifying real-life encounters with the Pontianak, one of Southeast Asia's most feared vengeful spirits. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, it's great to have you back. Let's dive into these chilling tales together. I'm Mr. Yao, and welcome to the Leyenda Yokai channel. Here, I explore famous yokai and urban legends. If you're into these topics, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out on future videos. In July 2025, people across several East Asian regions, including Japan and Hong Kong, have been gripped by fear over a doomsday prediction. According to this prophecy, a massive tsunami would strike with such force that it would cause the seafloor to rise, altering the landscape. As a result, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and even the Philippines might become physically connected, forming a new landmass. But do you believe it? This terrifying prophecy didn't come from a famous psychic or prophet. It actually came from a manga. What kind of power does this manga hold to cause panic across multiple countries? In 1999, a manga titled The Future I Saw was published in Japan. Its author, Ryo Tatsuki, had a unique habit. She recorded her dreams. This manga was actually a collection of short stories based on the dreams she had between 1994 and 1998, which she later compiled and released as a single volume in 1999. At first, the manga didn't get much attention. That same year, Ryo Tatsuki retired from the manga industry, and The Future I Saw became the final work she published before stepping away. But no one could have expected what happened in 2011. The manga suddenly went viral. The reason? In 2011, Japan was struck by the Great East Japan earthquake and tsunami. Shockingly, the exact date of this disaster, March 2011, was clearly written on the cover of the manga published back in 1999, along with the words "Great Disaster." People who owned the manga were shocked to discover that more than half of the 15 dream-based predictions in the book were believed to have come true. One of them was about the death of Princess Diana. On August 31st, 1992, Ryo Tatsuki dreamed of Princess Diana holding a child. A few years later, on August 31st, 1997, Princess Diana died in a car accident in Paris. The fact that the two dates matched exactly left many people stunned. She also dreamed about the death of Queen's lead vocalist, Freddie Mercury. On November 24th, 1976, she had a dream in which she saw a news report on TV announcing his death. At the time, Freddie was still at the height of his music career, so her friends didn't take the dream seriously. But on November 24th, 1991, when Freddie Mercury passed away due to illness, people were stunned to realize that Ryo Tatsuki had already seen this moment in her dream 15 years earlier. But what shocked people the most was the phrase printed on the cover of the manga, March 2011, Great Disaster. On March 11th, 1996, Ryo Tatsuki had a dream about a massive earthquake and tsunami striking somewhere. She not only turned that dream into part of her manga, but also wrote it clearly on the cover, a great disaster will happen in March 2011. Then, on March 11th, 2011, Japan was hit by a 9.0 magnitude earthquake. It triggered a massive tsunami and led to the catastrophic meltdown at the Fukushima nuclear power plant. This was the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in Japan and the fourth strongest earthquake in the world since modern seismology began in the 1900s. The scale of destruction was beyond what most people could have imagined, as the tsunami swallowed entire coastlines. Because she had seen all of this in a dream more than a decade earlier, and had even written March 2011 clearly on the cover, many people began to re-examine the manga. Ryo Tatsuki suddenly became the center of media attention. Physical copies of The Future I Saw were hunted down by collectors everywhere. The book, which had long been out of print and mostly forgotten, saw its price skyrocket on the second-hand market. At its peak, it was selling for almost 200,000 yen per copy, becoming a legendary collector's item often referred to as a disaster prophecy book. As the manga exploded in popularity in Japan, Ryo Tatsuki herself remained completely silent and out of the public eye, maintaining her mysterious and low-profile persona. That's when some people started impersonating her, claiming to be the real Ryo Tatsuki, fabricating new predictions, spreading fear, and even profiting off the panic. The most outrageous case involved someone actually appearing on a TV interview, confidently claiming to be her. As the situation spiraled out of control, Ryo Tatsuki could no longer stay silent. She came forward to clarify her identity, providing tax documents and original manga manuscripts as proof, and officially reclaimed her status as the true author of The Future I Saw. In 2021, she reorganized and expanded the original content, and officially released a new version titled The Future I Saw, Complete Edition. So, who exactly is Ryo Tatsuki? Much like many mysterious figures known for making predictions, her identity is also surrounded by intrigue. She was born in 1954, and in 1975, driven by her passion for manga, she published her first work in the magazine Monthly Princess, officially launching her career as a manga artist. As for what inspired her to start recording dreams, it actually began with her mother. At the time, her mother worked at a hospital, and one day, a patient from a printing company gave her a small sample booklet. Her mother passed it along to Tatsuki, who then decided to use it as a dream journal. But it wasn't until 1976 that she began seriously documenting her dreams. During that period, she filled 2 entire notebooks, carefully writing down every detail she could remember from each dream. When it comes to whether her dreams can be considered prophetic, Tatsuki herself never gives a definitive answer. She simply sees herself as someone who records dreams, and whether or not they come true, that can only be judged in hindsight. And then comes the question everyone's been asking. Where did the prediction about a major disaster in July 2025 come from? Just before The Future I Saw Complete Edition was published, Ryo Tatsuki had another dream. This time, she clearly saw several giant words appear right in front of her eyes. The real disaster will happen in July 2025. After waking up, that image remained vivid in her mind, as if the dream was urging her to write it down immediately. Tatsuki felt something was wrong. She began to wonder if the massive tsunami she had dreamed about years ago might not have been about 2011 after all, but about 2025. In a new edition of her book, she wrote that this would be a super tsunami, 3 times more powerful than the one in 2011. It could be accompanied by a devastating earthquake, powerful enough to sink 1/3 of the land. She included this dream in full in The Future I Saw Complete Edition. And that very prediction became the origin of what many are now calling the July 2025 Doomsday Theory. A forecast that has made countless people uneasy this year. The prophecy quickly drew widespread attention. In the years that followed, several psychics and seers from different countries, such as Craig Hamilton Parker from the UK, Biggs from the US, and Crit Fra from Thailand, also claimed to have foreseen a massive earthquake and tsunami striking the Western Pacific region. With so many predictions coming from different parts of the world pointing to a similar catastrophe, more and more people began to believe it. Anxiety grew, and some tourists from places like Hong Kong and Taiwan even canceled their trips to Japan out of fear of this supposed super tsunami. As a result, Japan's tourism industry was noticeably affected. Each of the prophetic dreams described in Ryo Tatsuki's manga is fascinating in its own way. But due to time constraints, I won't be going into all of them in this video. If you're interested in the rest of the stories featured in the manga, feel free to leave a comment below and let me know. I might cover them in a future video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of my upcoming videos. Thank you so much. In fact, as the 2025 Great Disaster discussion continued to spread, Ryo Tatsuki finally spoke out again. In her recently published book, The Angel's Message, she addressed several common misunderstandings. For example, she made it clear that she has never claimed to be a prophet, nor does she believe that all of her dreams will definitely come true. She simply records her dreams honestly and turns them into stories to share with readers. At the same time, she also added more details about the dream involving the 2025 disaster, things she hadn't explained before. But even so, Ryo Tatsuki continues to emphasize that her goal has never been to cause panic. Instead, she hopes to remind people to always stay alert when it comes to natural disasters, rather than fearing a specific date. The real question we should ask ourselves is, are we truly prepared for the next major disaster? In Japan, a jiko-bukin refers to a property where a death or significant incident has occurred. This includes cases of suicide, murder, accidental death, and other causes. Such properties are considered stigmatized and are often seen as unlucky, which usually results in lower rental or sale prices. Under Japanese law, landlords or real estate agents must disclose the history of jiko-bukin to potential tenants or buyers. This disclosure requirement ensures that consumers are informed about the property's past. However, some people, particularly younger generations, may not mind if a place is considered a jiko-bukin, as the affordable rent is highly appealing to them. In 2020, a Japanese YouTuber named YamaQ rented a jiko-bukin in Ichihara, Chiba Prefecture. The previous tenant had passed away at the entrance to the bathroom, and the body was not discovered until 2 days later. This incident led to the house being labeled a jiko-bukin, or a haunted property. According to YamaQ, he decided to move in because the rent was incredibly cheap, at just 49,000 yen per month, and the location was convenient. He signed a 2-year contract with the owner. The property YamaQ rented is a standalone, 2-story house. The first floor features a spacious living room, while the second floor has 2 large bedrooms. Although the house is 42 years old, the interior renovations make it look much newer. It comes with a modern kitchen, a small garden, and a parking space. Given the convenient location and amenities, it would typically not be rented at such a low price if it weren't for the previous tenant's death. Following Japanese tradition, YamaQ bought salt, sake, and incense before officially moving in. He set up a small altar in the center of the living room and held a ritual to honor the deceased, hoping to bring peace to the spirit. He lit the incense and offered it for a week. If the sake's flavor remained unchanged during this period, it would indicate that living in the house wouldn't be a major issue. Throughout that week, YamaQ gradually furnished his new home, and since the sake did not change in flavor, he felt reassured and settled in. However, just when he thought everything was fine, paranormal occurrences began in the 4th month after his move. On April 12, 2021, at 1 a.m., YamaQ captured a bizarre scene on his phone. His bathroom door opened by itself. In fact, during the 4 months since moving in, YamaQ often felt he was not alone in the house. He had a constant sensation of being watched, which became particularly unsettling at night. Objects in the bathroom would frequently fall or mysteriously change position. Feeling increasingly frightened, YamaQ turned to the internet for help. Concerned viewers suggested that he install a camera in the bathroom, which he promptly did. Not long after setting up the camera, he captured something eerie on video. The footage left YamaQ even more terrified. He set up an altar at the bathroom entrance, lit incense for offerings, and adjusted the camera angle. However, what he recorded next was even more disturbing. This time, he caught objects moving on their own and even heard a scream coming from within the walls. The next day, when YamaQ returned home from work, he found the incense he had placed outside the bathroom scattered all over the floor. As he was cleaning up, he noticed an abandoned small staircase across from his house. It was a short set of steps that ended at a blocked-off railing. Driven by curiosity, YamaQ looked into the local history and discovered that the area used to be a forest with many cemeteries nearby. Although most of the graves had been relocated, some were preserved as heritage sites. He couldn't help but wonder if the paranormal events in his home were somehow connected to the cemeteries. The strange occurrences in YamaQ's house continued. In the early hours of June 28, 2021, an even more terrifying scene was captured on camera. YamaQ had always assumed that the disturbances were caused by the spirit of the previous tenant who died there. However, a friend with psychic abilities suggested that it seemed more like a child's spirit was playing tricks. Taking this advice, YamaQ placed some Lego toys in the bathroom. Yet, on July 14, 2021, the camera once again captured an eerie scene. The next day, YamaQ purchased a compass online and made an unexpected discovery. The bathroom door in his house directly faced the demon gate indicated on the compass. Following this direction, he eventually found something significant: a dry well with gravestones nearby. It seemed possible that these elements were affecting the house's energy and contributing to the strange occurrences. On September 28, 2021, YamaQ uploaded another video in which he mentioned hearing faint sounds resembling crying and moaning coming from outside the house. However, when he ran outside to check, the sound stopped and there was no one around. A few days later, on October 2nd, he began hearing knocking noises coming from the bathroom.
これはね、慣れましたよね。便所どんどんどんどんなってるのは。今見たようにこう外を見ても誰もいないんですよ。
On October 5th, YamaQ noticed that his neighbor's dog was barking incessantly in the direction of his house. When he went outside to check, he found that the dog had broken free from its leash and run out. However, even as YamaQ approached, the dog didn't back away. It just kept barking at him. On October 12, 2021, YamaQ began a thorough search of the house, inspecting every corner, including the attic and the drainage outlets under the floor. Given that many Japanese houses have wooden frameworks that small animals can hide in, he suspected that the knocking sounds might be caused by animals. However, he found nothing unusual. On October 16th, he heard the moaning sound outside again, but this time it sounded like an old man. When YamaQ ran outside to investigate, there was still nothing to be found. Just then, a low-flying plane passed by, drowning out the moaning sound. After the plane disappeared, the moaning also stopped, leaving only the sounds of insects in the quiet night. According to YamaQ, he wasn't the only one who had heard the strange moaning. His neighbors had also heard it, but they had grown accustomed to the noise and didn't pay it much attention. On October 21st, YamaQ recorded a loud knocking sound coming from the bathroom. He said that when he placed his hand on the bathroom door, he could feel vibrations. He ran outside and looked into the bathroom through the window, but found nothing unusual, although the noise continued. He then tried to determine the source of the knocking. After hearing that thermal imaging cameras can detect things at night, YamaQ immediately purchased one online. Thermal imaging detects temperature, with brighter colors indicating higher temperatures on the screen. If any animals were hiding in the darkness, the camera could easily spot them. A few days later, the strange noise returned. YamaQ used the thermal imaging camera to scan the area, but nothing appeared. Then, he took a bucket of water and threw it in the direction of the noise. The sound changed from a moan to a scream. And finally, YamaQ remarked that maybe he shouldn't have done that. The eerie sounds persisted into 2022, and YamaQ endured 2 years of strange noises and unsettling phenomena. Despite the mental distress, he was fortunate to have never been physically harmed. In April 2022, an unexpected visitor arrived at YamaQ's home, a white cat. The cat, sensing no hostility from him, walked straight into the house and even claimed his bed. In the end, YamaQ adopted the white cat and named it Q-chan. Strangely enough, after adopting Q-chan, the paranormal incidents inside the house almost completely ceased, allowing him a period of peaceful days. Since YamaQ had previously disclosed his home's location, many viewers managed to find it based on clues. Some even captured photos of what appeared to be a face in the window, and that window was the bathroom window. But if you thought the story ended there, think again. On July 1st, 2014, a Reddit user named Nate SW posted a thread on the r/nosleep subreddit titled, "My dead girlfriend keeps messaging me on Facebook. I've got the screenshots. I don't know what to do." The post immediately sparked widespread discussion across the Reddit community. According to Nathan, his girlfriend passed away in a car accident on August 7th, 2012. However, on September 4th, 2013, she unexpectedly sent him a Facebook message from her account. Reddit is a popular online platform where users share and discuss content on various topics through communities called subreddits. It's known for its diverse range of content, including personal stories, discussions, and chilling tales often shared in subreddits. On July 1st, 2014, a Reddit user named Nate SW posted a thread on r/nosleep titled, "My dead girlfriend keeps messaging me on Facebook. I've got the screenshots. I don't know what to do." This post quickly drew significant attention from users across the platform. Nate SW, whose real name is Nathan, shared that he had been in a 5-year relationship with his girlfriend Emily. Tragically, Emily passed away in a fatal car accident last year when a vehicle ran a red light and struck her. Nathan briefly introduced Emily, describing her as someone who wasn't very interested in marriage, finding it somewhat outdated and carrying a strange vibe. However, he admitted that if she had agreed, he would have married her within 3 months. He went on to describe Emily as full of energy, adventurous, a camping enthusiast, and a tech lover. She always carried a cinnamon-like scent. From his words, it's clear Nathan deeply loved Emily and struggled to cope with her loss. Unable to let go, Nathan never deactivated Emily's Facebook account. He often revisited it to relive her posts and admire her photos. Currently, Emily's Facebook account is managed by both Nathan and her mother, Susan, with only the two of them having the password to log in. However, a chilling event occurred 13 months after Emily's passing. On September 4th, 2013, Nathan suddenly received a message from Emily's Facebook account. The message simply said hello several times. When Nathan received the first hello, he was taken aback. He initially thought it might be a hacker or a friend playing a prank by accessing Emily's Facebook account. Remaining polite, he responded with, "Who is this? It's really weird receiving messages from Emily's account." After waiting for a response that never came, Nathan grew uneasy and sent another message. "Well, in the future, please send me messages from your account even if you want to discuss her page." When Emily's account sent a second hello, Nathan was confused but began to assume it was Emily's mother, Susan, mistakenly using her daughter's account. He asked, "Susan, you're on Emily's account." Nathan then approached Susan in person to ask if she had used Emily's Facebook account. However, Susan denied it, explaining that she hadn't logged into any social media since Emily's passing. After calming down, Nathan convinced himself that one of Emily's friends must have hacked her account. Emily knew a lot of people, so Nathan quickly assumed that someone with advanced computer skills was playing a cruel joke on him. On November 16th, 2013, Emily sent another message saying, "Let's hit up Rail this Sunday." Unable to control his anger, Nathan angrily responded with profanity and repeatedly asked who was messaging him. Emily didn't reply, but instead left the cryptic message, "The wheels on the bus." It was then that Nathan remembered "The Wheels on the Bus" was a song he and Emily had jokingly said they would sing on their next bus trip. Soon, Nathan was shocked to realize that all of the messages Emily had sent him were fragments from their past conversations, including the repeated "hello" and "let's hit up Rail this Sunday." These were all things Emily had said to him while she was alive. Nathan even posted a comparison of chat logs from 2013 and 2012 to show the eerie parallels. The situation took an even stranger turn in February 2014, when Emily's account started tagging herself in Nathan's Facebook photos. Every time she tagged herself, Nathan would receive a notification. However, when he checked the tags, they would quickly be deleted by Emily's account. Eventually, Nathan discovered that some of the tags remained on certain photos. Photos in which Nathan had taken selfies alone, but the tags marked places where Emily would have been standing. By this point, Nathan still believed that one of Emily's close friends was playing a cruel prank on him, which was causing him so much distress that he couldn't even sleep. On March 15th, unable to take it any longer, Nathan decided to message what he thought was the hacker using Emily's account. "Why are you doing this? Why do you keep tagging her?" 10 days later, Nathan received a response, consisting of a series of hello messages, followed by Emily saying, "cinnamon-scented candles." This was a phrase from one of their previous conversations. Nathan's responses at this point showed how emotionally shattered he had become. In a moment of frustration, he even yelled at the account, "Go to hell." But then, Emily's account responded with a chilling message. "Why are you doing this?" Nathan had intended to act overwhelmed and distressed, thinking that if the hacker saw their goal was to break him, they might stop the harassment. However, Emily's unexpected response left Nathan even more unsettled. Finally, Nathan changed the password to Emily's Facebook account, which brought him a brief sense of peace. On April 16th, Emily sent another strange message, once again consisting of fragments from her past conversations with Nathan. This time, Nathan chose not to respond. However, on April 29th, Emily reached out again with another message made up of these same fragments. Unable to tolerate it any longer, Nathan finally exploded and replied, "I don't know what's happening. I don't know how you're still doing this. Please stop." To his shock, Emily's account simply copied Nathan's own response and sent it back to him. Desperate to put an end to the disturbing situation, Nathan contacted Facebook's customer support and requested a review of the recent login history for Emily's account. The results were chilling. Emily's account had been accessed from locations including Nathan's home, Nathan's office, and Emily's mother Susan's house. However, Susan had confirmed that she hadn't used her daughter's Facebook account since Emily's passing, and certainly hadn't logged into it from Nathan's home. This revelation left Nathan with an eerie sense of dread. On May 8th, 2014, Nathan said he saw a word in the message from Emily that had never appeared before, and that word was freezing. After that, Nathan began experiencing the same nightmare repeatedly. In his dreams, Emily was always trapped inside an ice-cold car, her skin frozen, blue, and gray. He stood outside in the warmth, desperately screaming for her to come out, but she never noticed him. Time and time again, Nathan would wake up from these nightmares. His fear slowly turned into overwhelming longing for Emily. On May 24th, Nathan sent another message to Emily's account. He wrote, "I'm really drunk. I miss you. Whoever's on this account, I don't care. I keep coming home from work and expecting to see you at the computer. Shouldn't I be used to that by now? Actually, Nathan wasn't drunk at the time. He just knew that Emily, who wasn't very good at expressing herself, would only show affection and care for him when he was intoxicated. So, Nathan often pretended to be drunk when he was with Emily. However, Emily's next reply completely broke Nathan. She simply said, "Just let me walk." This was the exact phrase Emily had said to Nathan before her accident. After that, no matter how many messages Nathan sent, Emily never replied again. What followed was the heartbreaking news of her death. From that day onward, Nathan set Emily's Facebook account to a memorial page, thinking he had put this entire haunting experience behind him. But months later, Emily's account sent him another message, one that edited and sent back the messages Nathan had left for her after her passing. Nathan was tortured by this entity, unsure if it was human or something else, to the point where he was on the verge of a mental breakdown. Desperate for help, he posted about the incident on Reddit, hoping that users could offer advice or solutions. The community responded with various suggestions, and as everyone was eagerly discussing the situation, the climax of the story came when Nathan updated his post once again, this time with a photo. It was a picture taken from outside Nathan's room, showing the interior, accompanied by the word freezing. When the users saw the image, including Nathan himself, a chill ran down their spines. Could it be that Emily had found her way outside his house? This update, along with the photo, turned out to be Nathan's last. After that, his account on the forum suddenly went silent, and he vanished without a trace. From then on, the discussion around this post reached a fever pitch. No one knew what happened to Nathan afterward, whether he ever received any more messages from Emily, and many began to speculate that he had been taken by her ghost. To this day, no one knows what happened to Nathan. Some users later found a news article about a car accident in Australia, which had the same date and circumstances as the day Emily passed away. The only difference was that while Emily's name was absent from the list of deceased, there was a name on the list: Nathan. Have you ever dreamed of someone incredibly attractive? In the dream, they confess their deep admiration for you, and you're completely captivated by their looks and words. As the dream unfolds, they express a desire to be with you forever and even give you a phone number or an address, urging you to find them in the real world after you wake up. Strangely enough, once you wake up, you clearly remember that number or address. But don't get too excited, because if you actually try to find them, your life may come to a terrifying end. This isn't a scam. It's something far worse. This is an peach blossom incident. On January 10th, 2023, a strange short video on China's Douyin, known internationally as TikTok, sparked a viral urban legend that set the internet ablaze. Shortly after, the original uploader's account was banned from the platform. The video was posted by a 12-year-old girl named Yi, who shared a seemingly ordinary experience. She had a dream where she met a handsome young man named Lin Han, who expressed deep affection for her. In the dream, he invited her to meet him at a specific location, for 18 Yinling Road, Tian'er District, Guangzhou. At first glance, the video appeared to be just another casual life update. However, what truly ignited the urban legend was the address she wrote down. After the video was posted, curious netizens decided to look up the location, and what they discovered sent chills down their spines. The address wasn't just any place. It was a funeral home. This eerie revelation led to widespread discussions and countless shares across social media. What seemed like an innocent dream was, in reality, a terrifying peach blossom incident. In Chinese culture, peach blossoms are widely seen as a symbol of romantic luck. Normally, having peach blossom luck means that someone admires or loves you. However, peach blossom is not about romance. It means being loved by a ghost. In folk beliefs, it refers to a supernatural entanglement between a spirit and a living person. Humans and ghosts belong to different realms. And if a ghost appears in your dream and urges you to find them, their true intent might be something far more sinister. They could be looking for a substitute or a companion. That dream itself is what we call a peach blossom encounter. In modern urban legends, stories of ghost brides or ghost marriages often depict eerie tales of restless souls searching for a living partner. Peach blossom, however, is a darker version, where a ghost seeks a replacement through dreams. If you're interested in ghost brides or ghost marriages, I've previously made a video featuring a true supernatural experience shared by a friend. You can find it below this video description or on my channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. It's totally free, and you won't miss any of my future uploads. Although netizens had already warned Yi that the address belonged to a funeral home, she had shared such beautiful moments with Lin Han in her dreams that she couldn't stop thinking about him. A few hours later, Yi uploaded another short video. This time, she said she felt an overwhelming sense of heartache. She couldn't forget Lin Han. When she closed her eyes for a short nap, she dreamed of him again, and this time, Lin Han asked her, "Why won't you come find me?" While netizens were still trying to persuade Yi to let go of Lin Han, she suddenly posted another video. But this time, the video included a photo of scratch marks on her arm. She claimed that in her dream, Lin Han had held her hand and kissed it, and when she woke up, those marks were on her arm. People became increasingly worried about Yi's mental state. When peach blossom occurs, the person involved often falls into a dazed, obsessive state, and Yi was now showing all the signs she had been chosen by this entity called Lin Han. Among the many comments, one stood out, summarizing a chilling belief about spirits and dreams. If you wake up and can't remember their face, it's fine. If you can remember their face, it's a ghost. If you forget what happened in the dream, it's fine. If they ask you to find them after you wake up, it's definitely a ghost. The story didn't end there. That night, Yi's Douyin account posted an audio recording, but this time it wasn't from her. The voice in the recording belonged to her mother, who explained that she was now aware of what had been happening to her daughter.
说白了，这孩子就是他梦的这个人，就是给他托的梦。这个也是说白了，就找到续命，就是找替身。
She also revealed that Yi was in a dazed, unstable state, but she had taken steps to resolve the situation and hoped Yi would recover soon. Shortly after, Yi's account uploaded a new video, a Taoist priest performing a ritual inside their home. This, presumably, was the solution her mother had mentioned. But do you know something? Among the so-called exorcists you find online or in the market, 9 out of 10 are frauds. Many netizens believe that Yi's peach blossom wouldn't be so easily resolved. And just as they feared, the ritual failed to help Yi. Not long after, she posted yet another video, her final upload. And with it, the story reached its terrifying climax. Yi's final post was a photo taken from the rooftop of a high-rise building. Along with it, she wrote, "Sorry for making everyone worry. He came to see me." That was the last thing she ever posted. Shortly after, the post was taken down for violating Douyin's policies, and her account was permanently banned. As for what happened to Yi, Whether she was safe or not, no one knows. This incident made many people aware of the term peach blossom. Among the numerous comments on Yi's videos, one stood out. It was a first-hand experience shared by a user about her older sister's encounter with peach blossom. Now, let me share that story with you. According to a user named Jane, a few years ago, her sister also experienced a peach blossom incident. Jane's sister lived a rather solitary life. She had few friends, and her daily routine consisted only of going to work and staying home. Then, one day, she had a dream. In that dream, she met a handsome man who spoke to her in the sweetest, most affectionate words. Before the dream ended, he urged her to find him after waking up, and before leaving, he gave her a phone number. When she woke up, Jane's sister couldn't stop thinking about the man. She was so enchanted that she clearly remembered the phone number he had given her. Without hesitation, she dialed the number. But when the call connected, the voice on the other end wasn't a man's. It was the phone number of a funeral home. Terrified, Jane's sister immediately told her family about the incident. In the following days, she fell into a dazed, absent-minded state. She was so out of it that she couldn't even go to work. Worried about her condition, her parents decided to let her stay home and rest. A few days later, her complexion seemed to have improved. That afternoon, she carefully dressed up and told her mother she wanted to go out for a walk. Seeing her daughter looking healthy again, Jane's mother felt relieved and agreed. Little did she know, that would be the last time she ever saw her daughter. By evening, Jane's family received a devastating call from the police. Jane's sister had been involved in a fatal traffic accident. She was declared dead on the spot. And where was her body temporarily placed? In a funeral home. The exact same funeral home from the phone number she had received in her dream. Some people believe that Yi has already been taken away by Lin Han, while others insist that the entire incident was nothing more than a stage hoax for online clout. But regardless of the truth, one thing remains certain. The world now knows about peach blossom. Are you enjoying these stories so far? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button to show your support. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any future updates. Now, let's dive back into the stories. At 10 p.m., it's lights out in the school dormitories, and the bathrooms are off limits. As the dormitory prefect, Wang is responsible for ensuring that every male student is in their room by this time. So, he patrols between the dorms and the bathrooms. But even though it's well past lights out, there are still some students who sneak off to the showers. Hey, Wang wouldn't miss this chance to discipline those breaking the rules. If he catches someone in the act, he wastes no time in apprehending them. Thanks to the handsome Malaysian lad, Wang, for sharing this horror story. In many rural areas of Malaysia, only primary schools are available, so students must travel to cities for secondary education. Consequently, many secondary schools provide dormitories for students who live far away. Wang happens to be one of those students residing in the school dormitories. Schools are often hotbeds for eerie tales, and having lived in the dormitories for 5 years, Wang certainly has no shortage of horror stories to share. Today, I'll share with you the most terrifying paranormal experience Wang encountered during his time at school, an incident that landed him in the hospital. Staying in school dormitories, as the name suggests, means residing within the school premises, typically indicating a sizable institution. The dormitories are divided into male and female sections, each overseen by a resident dormitory administrator, usually teachers from out of town. Their role involves managing the day-to-day operations of the dormitories, but due to their teaching responsibilities, they may occasionally face overwhelming tasks. To alleviate this burden, they appoint responsible students as dormitory prefects to assist in managing the dormitories. Wang happens to be one of these fortunate students chosen as a dormitory prefect. His duties primarily involve patrolling during lights-out hours, ensuring no students are outside their rooms and that the bathrooms are vacant, a task not overly challenging. As night falls, there are typically only 3 adults present on the school grounds: the dormitory administrators for the male and female dormitories, and the campus security guard responsible for patrolling the entire premises to ensure safety. One evening, as the clock struck 10, signaling lights out, Wang went about his usual routine of taking attendance for the male students in the dormitory before embarking on his final patrol to the boys' bathroom. In the dim light cast by his flashlight, Wang approached the vicinity of the bathroom. Suddenly, he heard the sound of running water emanating from within, prompting him to wonder. Hadn't everyone been present during attendance just moments ago? Why would someone be using the bathroom now? As he drew closer to the bathroom, a figure darted out from the doorway. Without hesitation, Wang gave chase. The school was illuminated by only a few sparse lights at night, rendering the environment exceptionally dim. Wang relied on his flashlight to discern the direction as he pursued the fleeting figure. Reaching the fence at the back of the school, Wang watched as the fleeing figure agilely vaulted over the barrier and disappeared into the forest, leaving him standing halted at the fence. Wang surmised that the person's ability to overcome the fence indicated they were no novice to rule-breaking. Feeling frustrated at his inability to catch the individual, Wang returned to the bathroom, his mind clouded with annoyance. Upon switching on the lights, he noticed faint traces of blood on the sink, a telltale sign that the fleeing person had washed around there. So, they were injured after all. At that moment, a mischievous thought bubbled up in Wang's mind. He wondered if the fleeing person might return to the bathroom to tend to their wound once more. With a sly grin spreading across his lips, Wang switched off the lights and hid in the space beneath the sink, preparing to startle the person upon their return. Little did he know, this thought would be the gravest mistake of his life. Sure enough, before long, the door to the bathroom creaked open quietly and a figure entered. Everything unfolded just as Wang had anticipated. The person had indeed returned to clean their wound once more. The person stood at the sink, turning on the tap with a gushing sound indicating they were washing something. Mischievous Wang, positioned beneath them, could only see their feet. In a bid to startle them, Wang swiftly reached out and grabbed their foot, shouting, "You can't escape this time," as he emerged from beneath the sink. However, when Wang shone his flashlight to get a clear view of the person, his heart nearly stopped. He couldn't see the person's face, or rather, he couldn't see their head because it wasn't on their neck. Instead, the person was holding their own head in their hands, and what they were washing was their severed head. In the next moment, Wang blacked out. After a considerable time had passed with no sign of Wang returning to his room, both the dormitory administrators and the campus security guard searched the school grounds for him. Eventually, it was the security guard who discovered him unconscious in the bathroom, and he was promptly rushed to the hospital. Later, Wang recounted the terrifying paranormal encounter to school officials. However, the school authorities strictly forbade him from spreading such nonsense, as they found no traces of blood or any decapitated person in the bathroom. Moreover, if word of this eerie incident were to spread, it would surely cause a major uproar. Therefore, the the school authorities issued a severe warning to Awang, instructing him to remain silent about the matter. There was a young boy who liked to secretly ride his father's motorbike around, but his mother didn't approve. Apart from safety concerns, she suffered from a cleanliness obsession and disliked her son getting dirty every time he rode. Whenever the boy got dirty, his mother would scold him and even resort to physical punishment. As boys tend to rebel, the more his mother restricted him, the more defiant he became. One night, he sneaked out again to ride his father's motorbike, and an accident occurred near a nearby high school. A car, unaware of the boy driving in the wrong direction, hit him at high speed, sending him and the bike flying. The impact was immense, and the boy died instantly. His head and body separated, blood spattered everywhere. Because his mother disliked dirtiness, to avoid being scolded or hit by her again, even after his death, the boy's soul still picked up his head and went to the nearby high school to wash, just to clean off the bloodstains on his head and body to avoid being scolded by his mother again. When you walk down the streets of certain countries, or come across a red envelope or a strange box in any location, you might find some cash and jewelry inside, possibly accompanied by a photo or a red piece of paper filled with writing. At that moment, you may think you've just come across unexpected fortune. But in reality, what you've gained isn't just wealth. You've also gained a companion, a ghostly companion. Today's video features a ghost story shared by an Indian friend I've known since childhood. This chilling tale happened to his older brother. Let's dive into the terrifying experience he went through. Plus, at the end of the video, I'll be sharing images of objects you should never pick up if you come across them. So make sure to watch until the very end. How do you interpret Second Life? Is it like playing a game where you take on a new role? Or perhaps starting fresh after serving time in prison? In reality, becoming a father can also feel like stepping into a second life. And that's exactly what happened to my friend's older brother. He found himself living a new life as a father despite never having been married. The story took place about 15 years ago, and the main character was a young Indian man in his 20s. Let's call him Viraj. Viraj was very independent. Although his family owned a grocery business, he never relied on them. He started working in the insurance industry at the age of 18, and in just 5 years, he rose to a high-ranking position, earning a substantial income. Viraj loved traveling, and every year, he would go on a men's trip with his friends and younger brother. For someone like Viraj, wealthy and good-looking, if he had any flaw, it would be that, like many men, he had a weakness for women. On this particular trip, they traveled to a country with beautiful beaches. On the second day, Viraj and his brother went surfing, which took a lot of energy. Exhausted, they rested under a coconut tree. That was when Viraj noticed a wooden box lying nearby. It seemed to have been left behind by someone, and after waiting a long time without anyone coming to claim it, he decided to take it back to the hotel. Back at the hotel, Viraj, driven by curiosity, opened the wooden box. A strange odor wafted out, and inside the box was nothing but a small white cloth bundle. As soon as the smell hit, Viraj's younger brother felt a creeping sense of unease and strongly opposed opening the bundle any further. Curiosity can kill a cat, and Viraj was too eager to see what was inside. Ignoring his brother's warnings, he unwrapped the cloth, revealing a few banknotes, a ring, and a photograph. The photo was of a young woman, her face slightly round, her skin dark, yet her beauty was undeniable. She was exactly Viraj's type. The moment he saw the picture, he blurted out, beautiful. At this point, many people may have already guessed that the box was actually a dowry prepared for a ghost marriage. However, ghost marriages are not common among Indians, so Viraj had no idea that the wooden box he picked up was related to such a ritual. And the moment he carelessly uttered the word beautiful, his life was forever changed. Viraj's younger brother, who is my Indian friend, had heard a saying back in his hometown. When someone encounters something unclean, they won't see or feel it directly at first. Instead, they will smell a scent resembling decay. The moment Viraj opened the box, that foul odor immediately reminded his brother of this rumor. That was why he tried so hard to stop Viraj from unwrapping the white cloth, but in the end, Viraj still opened it. The next day, Viraj returned to the coconut tree, hoping to find the box's owner, but no one came forward. So, he decided to keep both the box and the photograph, taking them with him once again. This time, he even placed the woman's photo inside his wallet, keeping it as something to show off to others later. Viraj's brother knew he couldn't convince him to return the items, so he stopped insisting. That afternoon passed without incident, but that night, things took a strange turn. That evening, Viraj and his friends partied hard, drinking until they were completely wasted. Feeling dizzy and wanting to sober up, Viraj decided to take a walk alone along the beach, letting the ocean breeze clear his mind. After walking for a while, he felt his head getting heavier, so he sat under a coconut tree to rest. He wasn't sure how long he had his eyes closed, but suddenly, he heard breathing right next to his ear. Viraj's eyes snapped open. There was no one in sight. Glancing behind him, he confirmed that no one was there. Assuming he had just imagined it, he checked his watch. It was already past 1 a.m. He shook off the eerie feeling and began walking back to his hotel to sleep. Viraj and his brother share the same room. When he returned to the room, his brother was already asleep, so he headed to the bathroom to take a hot shower. Midway through his shower, he felt as if someone was pulling his hair. He reached up to touch his head and was horrified. It felt as though someone else's fingers and nails were running through his hair, as if someone was touching his head. Panic surged through Viraj. Trying to remain calm, he glanced at the mirror beside him. There was no one there. If the breathing by the coconut tree had been a result of his drunken haze, then surely, now that he was sober, this distinct feeling of fingers and nails brushing against his scalp couldn't possibly be a mistake. Viraj quickly finished his shower, changed into his clothes, and crawled into bed, trying not to think too much about what had just happened. Shaken by the experience, he found it hard to fall asleep. After lying there for what felt like an eternity, he felt the urge to use the bathroom. But just as he tried to get up, he realized he couldn't move. His entire body was frozen in place. Even when he attempted to speak, his mouth opened, yet no sound came out. This time, Viraj was truly terrified. He turned his eyes toward his brother's bed, desperately wanting to call for help. But no matter how hard he tried, no words escaped his lips. Helpless, tears welled up in his eyes and began streaming down his face. After a while, Viraj caught a glimpse of someone approaching him, a long-haired woman dressed in a white long dress. There should have been only two people in this room, him and his brother. But now, a third person had appeared out of nowhere. The sheer terror of the moment left him breathless. Viraj didn't dare look directly at her. Instead, he squeezed his eyes shut and desperately recited the names of every Hindu deity he could remember, hoping for some kind of protection. Yet, his body remained completely paralyzed. He had no idea how much time had passed when he finally mustered the courage to open his eyes again. The woman was still there, standing right beside him. But this time, he got a clear look at her face. She didn't resemble the horrifying ghosts from the movies. Instead, she looked exactly like the woman in the photograph Viraj had placed in his wall earlier. Identical in every detail. She was undeniably beautiful. Seeing such a beautiful woman, Viraj's lust completely overpowered his fear. His eyes were fixed on her, and any lingering terror from before had vanished. The woman took the initiative, and just like that, Viraj found himself in an intimate encounter with her. After the encounter, he jolted awake as if snapping out of a dream. He was still lying in bed, his limbs now regaining sensation. Glancing at his watch, he saw that it was just past 2 a.m. After everything he had just experienced, only about an hour had passed. It must have been a dream, he thought. But when he lifted the bedsheet, he discovered the undeniable evidence. He'd had a wet dream. After this incident, Viraj's younger brother noticed that his brother had been acting strangely ever since that trip. In just 3 short months, Viraj had lost nearly 20 kilograms. His face looked incredibly haggard. Yet whenever his brother pressed him for answers, he simply brushed it off, insisting that nothing was wrong. Even when urged to see a doctor, Viraj refused. With no way to help him, both his brother and their parents could do nothing but watch helplessly. 1 year later, on a certain night, Viraj attempted to end his life by swallowing a large number of sleeping pills. Fortunately, his family discovered it in time and rushed him to the hospital for a gastric lavage. When he regained consciousness, Viraj broke down in tears, sobbing that his wife had demanded he end his life to help take care of their child. His brother and parents were utterly confused. After all, Viraj wasn't even married, so how could he have a wife and child? He claimed someone was trying to harm him, but the person he described was nothing more than a figment of his imagination. At that moment, Viraj's younger brother recalled what had happened during their trip the previous year. He cautiously asked his brother whether this wife he spoke of was the same woman from the photograph. Viraj froze for a moment, his expression turning stiff. Then, after a long pause, he finally revealed to his family the chilling truth behind his torment. Ever since the day he opened that box, a woman had been appearing in his dreams from time to time, claiming to be his wife. Every time, they would become intimate, and when he woke up the next morning, his body felt completely drained, as if something had been taken from him. Worse still, he would always experience nocturnal emissions, something highly unusual for an adult man. Yet, despite knowing deep down that this so-called wife was not human, Viraj couldn't help but indulge in it. She was beautiful, exactly his type, and even though he understood she was a ghost, he found himself unable, or perhaps unwilling to resist. At that moment, his instincts as a man completely took over. This ordeal continued for several months. During this time, whenever Viraj interacted with other women or developed feelings for someone, he would experience intense sleep paralysis at night. His so-called wife would appear, warning him that if he pursued another woman, she would take his life. Terrified, Viraj dared not approach any woman, living cautiously under her invisible watch. He was too afraid to tell his family, fearing they might become involved. In secret, he sought help from temples, hoping for an exorcism, but most of the so-called priests turned out to be frauds. Worse still, every failed attempt only angered his wife, making her haunt him more aggressively at night. The relentless torment left him physically and mentally drained, his condition worsening day by day. Sensing something was terribly wrong with his body, Viraj decided to undergo a full medical examination. The results puzzled the doctors. He had no detectable illness, yet his body, despite being in his 20s, was as weak as that of a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s. He knew something was seriously wrong, but felt utterly powerless. Viraj had long accepted that his life was slipping away, but he never expected the end to come so soon. Viraj's wife constantly lamented that they could only be together on certain days, when the yin energy was strong. She longed for Viraj to join her in the afterlife, so they could be together forever. At first, Viraj was still young and full of life, his will to survive strong. The ghost had no way to take him by force. However, things changed recently when she told him that she had given birth to their child. She claimed that raising the child alone was too difficult and begged Viraj to come down and help her. The revelation shattered him. He had never imagined that a ghost could conceive and give birth. The sheer horror of the idea overwhelmed him, breaking down the last of his mental defenses. In his dazed and weakened state, Viraj became completely entranced. Under her influence, he swallowed a lethal dose of sleeping pills, attempting to take his own life. After hearing about this horrifying event, Viraj's family was convinced that the changes he had undergone over the past year were surely linked to the ghostly woman. They sought out the most renowned exorcist in the area to help rid him of the spirit. After several exorcism rituals, Viraj finally appeared to return to normal. Apparently, the ghost had been subdued. The ordeal seemed to be over. But was it really so? Years later, as Viraj approached 40, he remained unmarried, yet continued to thrive in the insurance industry. Curiously, his focus had shifted to child insurance plans. Despite being single, he developed an uncanny understanding of what parents needed. Once a man who despised children, he transformed into someone who genuinely enjoyed their company, as if he were living a second life, one as a caring father. It was even said that Viraj would sometimes be found rocking children to sleep at night, even though no one else was around him. The following items, if you ever come across them, don't be tempted to pick them up. In 2005, a Tenya forum user named YamaQ posted a thread titled, "My Personal Experiences with Several So-Called Horror Games." After participating in a few supernatural games from urban legends, he mysteriously vanished from the forum. 3 years later, in 2008, YamaQ reappeared on Tenya and left a cryptic message. "You may choose to never believe in gods or spirits, but never disrespect or mock them." In today's video, we'll explore the biggest unsolved mystery that once caused a sensation on Tenya Forum, the YamaQ incident. Tenya Forum was founded in 1999, a time when the internet didn't have short videos. For a long period, Tenya Forum was considered the largest hub of information in China, attracting a wide variety of people to post and share their thoughts. It was similar in some ways to Japan's famous 2-channel forum, which I've mentioned in previous videos. In February 2004, a user named YamaQ joined Tenya Forum. At that time, Tenya had a ghost stories section dedicated to terrifying tales about ghosts and urban legends. YamaQ quickly became a prominent and active member of the forum, frequently discussing supernatural stories and strange phenomena. His posts gained him a following of fans interested in his unique perspectives. On February 20th, 2005, YamaQ posted a thread titled, "My Personal Experiences with Several So-Called Horror Games." At the beginning of the post, he wrote, "The fact that I dare to play these games doesn't mean I'm particularly brave. It's just that I've always had a strong sense of curiosity since I was a child. If I see something interesting, I feel uncomfortable until I try it myself. I've played most of the popular horror games out there, all by myself. Those that require multiple people, I haven't tried. I can responsibly say that everything I'm about to share is true. If not, I am willing to bear any legal consequences. In that era, there was no way to live stream spiritual games through video. A post like this was more than enough to ignite everyone's curiosity. In the thread, Zuyang detailed his attempts at 5 different games. The first game Zuyang tried was peeling an apple at midnight. The rules were simple. At exactly midnight, turn off the lights, find a mirror, and peel an apple in front of it. The key was to keep the peel unbroken. It was said that doing so would reveal your past self in the mirror. That night, Zuyang was thrilled and prepared everything well in advance. He took the mirror from his mother's dressing table, set it up in his room, and waited for the clock to strike midnight. As soon as the time came, he got straight to work, focused entirely on peeling the apple. After painstakingly finishing one apple with trembling hands, nothing happened. Unwilling to give up, Zuyang went on to peel 5 or 6 more apples in a row. By the end, he had stared at the mirror so intently that it felt like he could see right through it. Yet his past self never appeared. Exhausted, he eventually collapsed into bed and fell asleep. The next morning, his mother found apple peels scattered all over the floor and the disassembled mirror. She thought Zuyang had been sleepwalking. The first part of Zuyang's post gave readers the impression that he wasn't exaggerating the game's effects. Instead, he came across as down-to-earth and even injected a bit of humor into his story. This tone made for a sharp contrast with the events that would follow. The second game involved performing a ritual at midnight at a dark, deserted crossroads. The instructions were to bring a bowl of white rice and stick 3 incense sticks into it. After letting the incense burn out completely, you were supposed to eat the rice. According to legend, the rice would absorb the energy of wandering spirits, and eating it would allow you to enter the spirit world. After conducting the experiment, Zuyang once again experienced nothing out of the ordinary. He mentioned that the most unpleasant part of the game was eating the rice mixed with incense ash. It tasted terrible. After finishing the ritual, he stayed at the crossroads for a while before heading home. Strangely, what was normally a 10-minute walk ended up taking him an entire hour that night. In the forum's comment section, some users speculated that Zuyang had fallen victim to a ghost wall, a supernatural phenomenon where one becomes lost or disoriented. Others dismissed it as a psychological effect. The third game Zuyang tried was summoning Bloody Mary. The steps were as follows. Enter a completely dark bathroom alone, without turning on the lights. Face the mirror and place a candle either between yourself and the mirror or on both sides of the mirror. Close your eyes, concentrate, and chant Bloody Mary 3 times. According to the legend, after performing this ritual, a horrific spirit might appear in the mirror, or you might only see its glowing red eyes. The mirror and walls could even start to bleed, and in the worst case, the spirit might pull you into the mirror. After trying this game, Zuyang claimed that the mirror indeed exhibited a mysterious change. The bathroom steam had condensed on the mirror. This explanation led to a burst of laughter from users in the comment section below. The fourth game Zuyang tried was a summoning ritual. It had to be performed on a moonlit midnight in a damp, dark alley. The player was to walk forward, following their own shadow, and with each step, chant their own name. As they walked, they would notice that the shadow on the ground suddenly split into 2, with one shadow being that of a ghost following behind. The ghost would ask for a favor in return for helping the player, but if it were a vengeful spirit, things could quickly spiral out of control. Zuyang mentioned that, since the game had to be played on a full moon night, he would have to wait until the next month to attempt it. He joked at the end of his post, saying that if he didn't post the results afterward, it might mean something unfortunate had happened, and he would need everyone to burn some paper money for him. He promised that his ghost would come to thank them in person if he didn't make it. Up until this point, the whole post had maintained a light-hearted atmosphere, and Zuyang himself didn't truly believe that these so-called spiritual games could really summon ghosts. However, everything changed with the last game when some unexpected events occurred. The fifth game was the famous four-corner game. The rules were as follows. At midnight, choose a pitch-black square room. In each of the four corners of the room, one person would stand, facing the corner. Once the game began, the person in one corner would move toward another corner and gently tap the person standing there. Then that person would start walking in the same direction toward the next corner. This continued until the last person reached an empty corner. That person would need to cough first, step over the corner, and keep walking until they saw the next person. After some time, you would notice that no one was coughing anymore, which meant that every corner was occupied, and there was one extra person always walking around. In other words, someone new had appeared in the room. The four-corner game is a very well-known spiritual game that originally came from Japan. The first time Zuyang tried the four-corner game, he invited 3 of his friends, Mr. Six, Wendy, and Cowie. That night, they had a few drinks, and around 1 a.m., they arrived at Mr. 660 square meter empty house. At first, everyone was laughing and not taking it seriously, but as soon as the lights were turned off, the atmosphere immediately became tense. The game went on for over 20 minutes without any strange occurrences. It wasn't until later when Wendy shouted, "Hey, where did one person go?" Everyone was confused and turned on the lights, only to find that Cowie was missing. It turned out he had rushed out to use the bathroom. The first attempt ended in failure. A few days later, Zuyang tried the four-corner game again. This time, he kicked Cowie out for messing up the first attempt and replaced him with a girl named Gua. The location was still at Mr. Six's house. The game had been going on for about 10 minutes when a sudden scream from the girl nearly scared the souls out of the men. After turning the lights on, everyone rushed over to the girl. She grabbed Zuyang by the collar, shouting uncontrollably, "I want to leave! I want to leave!" The group could tell from her demeanor that this wasn't an act. They quickly helped her leave Mr. Six's house, but on the way, she continued to cry and collapsed on the ground, unable to get back up. Eventually, they had no choice but to take her to the hospital. When the doctor asked what happened, the young men couldn't explain that it was caused by a spirit game, so they simply said she was probably scared. The doctor gave the girl a sedative. Afterward, the girl revealed that during the game, she had seen someone appear in the corner where the first person had walked. Normally, that corner should have been empty. The girl wasn't sure whether it was her imagination or an illusion. Zuyang stated that although he wasn't an atheist, he didn't particularly believe in spirit games. But regardless of whether it was real or not, he warned everyone not to play these games. Since the four-corner game, the time intervals between Zuyang logins became longer. The results of the promised summoning game were never posted, and he stopped replying to comments. On June 22, 2005, Zuyang suddenly appeared on the forum again and left this message. "It's been a long time since I've logged in, and I'm truly sorry. I encountered some troubles recently, but I won't go into details. Anyway, this has probably been the most painful period of my life. However, I don't think it has anything to do with the games I played. After all, a game is just a game. It doesn't change a person's luck or destiny. After Zuyang last login, he disappeared for many years. With Zuyang's disappearance, various speculations flooded in. Some said he had really encountered something sinister and met with misfortune, while others claimed that Zuyang was just creating hype. But no matter what, the popularity of the post only increased, and everyone was guessing why Zuyang had disappeared. Over 3 years later, on October 25th, 2008, Zuyang logged in once again, and for the last time. What he said next sparked the climax of the Zuyang incident. He said, "It's been over 3 years and 8 months since I first posted this. The reason I haven't logged in for so long is because I developed a deep fear of this ID. But after all these years, I want to put an end to this post. If anyone still asks me, did you really do what you wrote about back then? My answer is yes, I did, and I paid a painful price for my ignorance back then. That price was a long period of fear and despair deep in my heart, a feeling that also affected my family. My family once had a small but steadily growing company and a modest fortune. But in the end, we lost everything. I can say that life has just begun to improve, and perhaps I should be grateful for that." He ended by warning everyone, "You may choose to never believe in gods or spirits, but never disrespect or mock them." In this message, Zuyang completely abandoned the humor and carefree attitude he had when he first posted, adopting a tone of regret. This sharp contrast led many to believe in the authenticity of the Zuyang incident. After this post, the event became known as the infamous Zuyang incident in internet lore. In 2012, an ID called Zuyang Friend posted on the Tianyao forum, adding some follow-up details to the Zuyang incident. Zuyang Friend mentioned that he had noticed a crescent-shaped scar on Zuyang's left wrist, clearly caused by a fingernail. When he asked Zuyang about it, Zuyang explained that during 2005 and 2006, he seemed to have experienced mental issues where he would suddenly become unable to see or hear anything. Zuyang clarified that not being able to see didn't mean everything went dark like being blind. He shared a particular experience where, one time, when crossing the street, there were no cars or people, and everything was eerily quiet. Without thinking, he just walked to the other side of the street. At that moment, a middle-aged woman suddenly grabbed him forcefully, and a car nearly brushed past him. Only then did he realize that the street, with cars and people, along with the usual noise, all appeared suddenly. The woman who had grabbed him believed he was attempting suicide and had called the police. The crescent-shaped scar on his wrist was caused by the woman's fingernail as she pulled him. Later, Zuyang family's company mysteriously began to decline. Many orders were canceled, or transactions couldn't be completed for various reasons. The whole family was left in a state of frustration. After posting a few updates, the ID, Zuyang Friend, also disappeared without a trace. As time passed, more and more people online began impersonating Zuyang, fueling further confusion and speculation about the authenticity of the events surrounding him. In 2015, the Zuyang incident was even adapted into a movie titled The Terrible Life. The story continued to captivate many, but it wasn't until the end of 2017 that a mysterious user named Hoshiochai posted an update on the Tianyao forum titled 10 Years Later, the final explanation of the Zuyang incident. Many forum users, upon reading the post, believed that the writing style and tone closely matched that of Zuyang, making it the most plausible post from Zuyang himself in many years. In the post, Hoshiochai never claimed to be Zuyang. He simply mentioned that Zuyang was doing well, had worked on his inner peace, and was supporting his family. He expressed gratitude for the attention and blessings from online users over the past decade. He also stated that all the well-argued claims of being Zuyang online were pure fiction. The only genuine post from someone claiming to be Zuyang Friend was one single thread. I speculate that this is the post from the ID Zuyang friend that I just shared with you. Host Xiuchai mentioned that the games from back then were real, but when Zuyang posted about them, he had a humorous tone and exaggerated certain details. The girl in the Four Corners game was fine in reality. She was simply a timid person. Afterward, the friends who participated in the games gradually distanced themselves for reasons unknown. As for the rumors of Zuyang's disappearance, he didn't actually disappear. He simply didn't know how to face the situation or how to update the post. In the 3 years following the games, he experienced hallucinations and mental health issues and underwent medication treatment. His relationships deteriorated, and his family faced numerous hardships, including car accidents and more. His return now was to provide closure to the Zuyang incident. He also wanted to warn young people and students not to imitate these games. Even if the games themselves are not dangerous, the psychological impact can be harmful. From the tone of the post, it's clear that Zuyang later turned to Buddhism, which helped him emerge from the mental fog. The post ends with a plea to avoid dangerous imitations, emphasizing that children's health and safety are more important than anything else. And with that, the entire Zuyang incident has been shared. If you ask me for my opinion on the event, I believe that while you may choose not to believe in urban legends, don't mess with urban legends. The limit of science is mysticism, but the limit of mysticism is oneself. Whether you believe or not is entirely up to the individual. If you have friends from the Malay community in Malaysia or Indonesia, you've likely heard of the Pontianak, a vampire-like figure deeply rooted in Malay folklore, believed to be the vengeful spirit of a woman who died during childbirth. The Pontianak is one of the most feared ghosts in the region. Often appearing as a beautiful woman, she lures in unsuspecting victims with the cries of a baby and the scent of jasmine. But once you get too close, her true form is revealed. The floral fragrance turns into the stench of decay, and she drains her victims blood dry. In the 1980s, Malaysia was experiencing a period of rapid economic growth. The economy, once primarily based on agriculture, was quickly transforming into one centered on manufacturing and industry. As a result, many Malays from rural kampong areas moved to the cities for employment, helping to drive the nation's economic development. However, in addition to the labor force that was vital for the country's progress, these Malays also brought with them something else from the kampong, stories of local folklore. Among these tales, the most famous is none other than Pontianak. The Malaysian version of the name Pontianak comes from 3 Malay words combined together. Puan meaning lady, Mati meaning death, and Arnak meaning child. Put together, it becomes Puan Mati Arnak, which was shortened to Ponti Arnak, meaning a lady whose child has died. Over time, the term evolved to represent the infamous Malay female ghost. However, Pontianak is not only well known in Malaysia. Her fame has also spread throughout Indonesia. Both countries share fertile land and are exporters of natural and agricultural resources, with vast plantations. Pontianak is said to be most active in these plantation areas, particularly favoring banana trees during the day. Naturally, this led to her gaining widespread notoriety in these agriculture-rich nations. In Malay culture, the Pontianak is one of the most well-known and terrifyingly violent ghosts. Malays believe that the origin of the Pontianak comes from women who die during childbirth. When a pregnant woman dies during labor, she is said to transform into a Pontianak, becoming a vengeful spirit filled with resentment. When Pontianak appears, she is dressed in a long white gown, with her face obscured by long, jet black hair. Her red eyes, as if soaked in blood, add to her eerie presence. She moves unpredictably, floating through the air, and can fly. Her sharp claws can easily tear apart her victims with little effort. The Pontianak often takes the form of a beautiful woman. Whenever she appears, there is a distinct scent of fragrant flowers, and she is mysteriously accompanied by the sound of a baby crying. Legend has it that when you hear the loud cry of a baby, it means she is still far away, giving you time to escape. But if the cry becomes faint, it might mean she's right behind you. The Pontianak is a bloodthirsty and flesh-hungry, vengeful spirit. She actively targets humans, with her primary victims being deceitful men or heartless lovers. It's believed that in life, she may have been wronged by such men, which fuels her strong desire for revenge, making them her favored prey. At first, she appears as a beautiful woman to lower men's guard. Men who are not cautious are easily lured into danger. Once she successfully approaches her target, she reveals her true form. Long, yellow claws slash at her victim as her beautiful face distorts into a withered, wrinkled appearance with sharp fangs. The pleasant floral scent surrounding her suddenly changes to the foul stench of decay. In fact, aside from men, the Pontianak also attacks pregnant women and infants, likely driven by jealousy. Among the Malays, there is a well-known story involving a Malay woman. Due to her husband's job, they moved to a remote area and settled in a small single-story house not far from a banana plantation. On their first day in the house, the woman found a dirty, tattered white cloth in a corner of the bedroom. Initially, she didn't think much of it and casually threw it away. However, strange events began happening one after another. For example, even though no one else was in the house, she would often hear the sound of someone showering in the bathroom. Her toothbrush would mysteriously end up in the toilet, and food she left for her husband would suddenly spoil without explanation. Strange, right? It sounds like a mischievous spirit playing tricks, doesn't it? But the truly terrifying events were yet to come. Not long after, the Malay woman began to notice mysterious bruises appearing all over her arms, legs, and stomach. Their wedding photo frame also suddenly shattered. Even more bizarre, while they were having dinner, 2 crows flew into the house and defecated on their food. These strange occurrences nearly drove the woman insane. She argued with her husband countless times about moving out, but they never managed to leave. One night, when her husband was working the night shift, the woman stayed home alone. That night, she suddenly heard the sound of someone stir-frying in the kitchen. Pushed to her breaking point, instead of feeling fear, she was filled with rage and stormed into the kitchen to find out what was going on. When she entered the kitchen, nothing. No one was there. Not a single sign of anything unusual. Frustrated, she angrily yelled into the empty kitchen to vent her fury. Afterward, she left the kitchen and returned to the living room. But then, she smelled a floral scent and saw a woman standing in the living room. A woman in a white gown with blood-red eyes and long hair down to her waist, staring at her. That woman was none other than the infamous Pontianak. As they locked eyes, the Malay woman noticed something in the Pontianak hand, a dirty, tattered white cloth. It was the same cloth she had thrown away earlier. What happened next, no one knows because the woman lost consciousness. When she regained it, she was lying in a hospital bed. Some say she was possessed by the Pontianak, while others believe the Pontianak spared her because she had no children. In any case, this story shows just how terrifying the Pontianak can be. It's best to keep your distance from her. A 14-second TikTok video made Malaysians believe Pontianak is real. In 2023, a 29-year-old auxiliary police officer, Ikma, uploaded a 14-second video on his TikTok. The caption read, "For the past 8 years of my patrols, I've often been disturbed by a mysterious sound. This is the first time I've seen the source of it, so I recorded this as proof." The moment the video was uploaded, it went viral, instantly gaining over 1 million views in a short span of time. More than that, Ikma post even pushed the word Pontianak to the top of the trending list. The video was filmed on a pitch-black night. In the dense bushes, a long-haired figure dressed in white appeared, floating in mid-air while letting out an eerie, bird-like woo-woo-woo sound. For Malaysians and Indonesians, this ghostly woman in white needs no introduction. She is none other than the infamous Pontianak, the terrifying vampire spirit of Malay folklore. According to auxiliary police officer Ikma, he had been haunted by an unexplained sound during his patrols for years. But recently, he finally captured its true source on camera. Not only did the video show what appeared to be a white-clad ghost, but also recorded the chilling woo-woo-woo sound in full clarity. Ikma emphasized that he wasn't trying to scare people, but rather to warn them. If they ever encounter something like this, they should remain calm and not panic. However, what people should do in such a situation is run, rather than pull out their phones to record. Unlike Ikma, who only started filming after ensuring his own safety. Ikma also mentioned that hearing strange noises during late-night patrols is nothing out of the ordinary. In fact, some elders have even shared their own encounters, claiming to have seen an actual ghostly woman in that very area. They pointed out that the location was once an oil palm plantation, which aligns with the belief that Pontianak often appears near oil palm or banana plantations. Ikma made it clear, both on his TikTok and in multiple media interviews, that his intention in sharing the video was not to scare people. He repeatedly emphasized that he had no reason to fabricate such an event. Many netizens firmly believe that Ikma had undoubtedly encountered a Pontianak, while others think he might have simply fallen victim to a prank. Some even joked that the woman in white was actually filming her own TikTok video at the same time. Regardless of the truth, at least no harm was done, making this a rather fortunate encounter. According to legend, Pontianak only holds a grudge against unfaithful men. Some versions of the myth suggest that she also harbors resentment toward infants and pregnant women, as she herself died during childbirth and transformed into a vengeful spirit. But regardless of whether you're a faithless man or an expectant mother, if you ever encounter Pontianak, it's best to stay far away. After all, she is also known as the vampire of Malay folklore. Speaking of Pontianak, did you know that there's actually a city in Indonesia with the same name? And believe it or not, its name comes from the legend of this terrifying creature. If you happen to know more details about it, feel free to share the story in the comments. Now, let's get back to the story. The next one is a real paranormal encounter shared by my friend. I have a Malay friend named Awang, who has claimed since childhood that he possesses the third eye, the ability to see things that most people cannot. He firmly believes that this ability is connected to a terrifying encounter his father had many years ago. According to Awang, his father once came face-to-face with a Pontianak, an incident that became quite well known in Malaysia at the time. For this story, let's refer to Awang's father as Ali. Back in the 1990s, Ali loved gathering with his friends in the kampung village. They would drink, sing, and chat late into the night, often staying out until the early hours of the morning. Ali always traveled by motorcycle, and to get to and from these gatherings, he had to pass through a banana plantation. One night, Just like any other, Ollie drank and chatted with his friends until past 4 a.m. When the gathering ended, he hopped onto his motorcycle and headed home. As he rode past the banana plantation, the first thing he noticed was a strong scent of jasmine lingering in the air. Then, up ahead, he saw a woman dressed in white standing in the middle of the road, blocking his path. Immediately, Ollie felt something was wrong. It's 4 a.m. What kind of normal woman would be standing here at this hour? At that moment, he knew he had just encountered the legendary vampire, the Pontianak. Without a second thought, Ollie twisted the throttle and sped past the woman. But just as he feared, when he glanced at his rearview mirror, he saw her rise into the air and start chasing after him. Ollie slammed the throttle and sped down the road like his life depended on it, because it did. He knew that if the Pontianak caught up to him, his life would come to a gruesome end. Racing through the dark, he finally spotted a 24-hour gas station up ahead. Without hesitation, he skidded to a stop, abandoned his motorcycle, and sprinted straight into the station's cashier room. Behind the counter stood a young female cashier. She gasped in shock at Ollie's frantic entrance. But when she saw the sheer terror on his face, she immediately understood what was happening. Without asking a single question, she rushed to lock the door. A moment later, the chilling sound of a baby crying echoed from outside. Bingo! They both knew exactly what that meant. They had encountered a Pontianak. Terrified, they huddled together, too afraid to move. The wait felt endless. The crying would start and stop at random, sending chills down their spines. Worse yet, they could hear knocks on the doors and windows, as if something was trying to get in. Neither of them dared to make a sound, fearing that any movement would attract the entity's attention. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, dawn arrived. As the nearby Muslim prayer hall began the morning call to prayer, the baby's cries suddenly vanished. Ollie and the cashier had narrowly escaped death. This horrifying encounter led to something unexpected. Ollie and the cashier, having survived this ordeal together, eventually fell in love and got married. News of their terrifying night quickly spread, and the gas station shut down for 3 days to perform an exorcism ritual. Because of this incident, 2 of Ollie's 5 children were born with the ability to see spirits. One of them was Awang. According to Awang, his father had always been quite the womanizer. And as legend has it, Pontianak despises men like him the most. There is a folk method circulating for dealing with a Pontianak, one that can even excite single individuals. The rumor says that you can insert a nail into the hole in the Pontianak's neck. This trick can keep her in her beautiful woman form forever, allowing you to take her home as your good wife. This situation can last until the nail is removed, at which point she will revert to her vampire state. Doesn't this method sound tempting? However, there's a prerequisite. Your strength must be greater than hers. Have you ever wondered why the Pontianak only appears in Malay urban legends and not among other ethnic groups? It is said that the Pontianak only harasses Muslims, as non-Muslims often consume pork, which is considered unclean and forbidden in Islamic teachings. Thus, the conclusion is that the Pontianak is a devout Muslim. At this point, do you catch a whiff of floral scent? If so, what you should do now is perk up your ears and listen carefully for the sound of a baby crying. If you enjoy my channel, please help by hitting the subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so you won't miss my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching until the end, and I'll see you next time.